Welcome back. If you are just joining us, you are on to your favorite program, Democracy and the Rule of Law. So, Pastor Deji, what are the expectations of Nigeria and the new tax laws have been just passed? What should Nigerians expect? They expect infrastructural development and rapid, road constructions, the betterment of the lives of the people, because obviously the government will now have to generate a lot of money, ensure that those who were not captured in the tax, net, will now pay their tax, and of course there will be more money in the pocket for them to execute the project that benefit the mass.
Thank you very much. I would have said that this would have been a welcome development if in the previous years uh, the tax system and the tax collection over the years have generated an improvement in the lives of the Nigerian people over the years. I would have said maybe there's a need for maybe this reform would have been beneficial to Nigeria. But I have my doubts that this reform is going to benefit the people, Nigerian people. It's just going to create more money for those in government to spend. Of course, we know that Nigeria today is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Despite the fact that Nigeria is supposed to be either number 5 or 6 oil country in the world. Okay, we are supposed to be the 6th oil producing country in the world, and yet we are still on the poverty index as a nation. I wonder how we got on the poverty index, if not through corruption, through embezzlement of public funds, and all of that. Most of the revenue generated by government have not been used for the Nigerian people. The Nigerian people have not benefited for. In fact, you can't really point to anything you benefiting in this country. If you talk about electricity, we pay so much for electricity in this country. If you talk about communication, we pay so much for calling. The MTN, Airtel, all of these companies are making stupendous money, extorting money from Nigerians. Government also extort money from Nigerians. In the educational sector, we just finished talking about the educational sector. There is nothing happening there. Unemployment is not available. Government is not paying good revenue to those who are in service, those who are working. The pensioners are not getting their money. Over the years, we have grappled with all of these problems. The cost of transportation, the cost of accommodation is astronomic. An average Nigerian cannot afford it. So if you have an economy or a country like that, and then everybody is expecting palliative, and all you have is dragnet of taxes, those about 4 taxes have been enacted in a stretch by one government claiming a reform. I don't see how all of these taxes constitute any serious reform that will bring any socio-economic benefits to Nigerians. And I want to say this, that it's unfortunate that at this time, when people cannot eat, when there's hunger, we are revaluing the taxation system against them. Now, let me also say this, that why I do not subscribe that this particular tax reform is going to benefit Nigerians is the fact that if you look at the nation as it were, most of those who make stupendous wealth out of this country don't even pay tax. Majority of Nigerians who are highly rich, they don't pay tax. And if they pay at all, they don't pay what the tax they should pay. Many of them are giving rebates. Many of them are giving waivers in their business. Many of them collect tax deductions that they should not get. But it's left to we Nigeria, the ordinary Nigerians are the one that is being chased around for tax certificates, for tax returns, and all of that. So it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. This is the only country where you find those who are billionaires don't pay sufficient tax to government. Let them disclose. Let them go after our billionaires. Let them disclose how much they are really paying as tax and how much they are making from the economy. And then we'll be able to say whether that tax reform is necessary or not.
Right.
Yes. Actually, I want to align myself with what my colleague has said, but to add that these 4 tax laws that the president presented to the National Assembly in October last year I had expected, because there were so many criticisms, we had expected that probably the National Assembly would try to fuse it into two or strike out some of them and then bring in some provisions into others. The Nigerian Tax Administration law, the National Tax Law, Nigerian Revenue Service Law, Joint Revenue Board Law. You can imagine 4 tax laws at the same time that are promulgated into law. And then they granted that there were so many tax laws in Nigeria. Virtually every item had its own tax law. Company tax law, income tax law, and all manner of laws all over the place. VAT. That one is actually is supposed to be regulated by the local. The states. The states are the ones that are responsible for VAT. But the federal government had actually taken over VAT as part of its own duty, and that particular duty was actually struck down by the Federal High Court in the case of Attorney General of Rivers State against Federal Inland Revenue Service. It was struck down that only the state has the power to collect VAT. It's not the duty of the federal. But in this instance, you see that the federal government has actually decided to regulate VAT too, which is not. Excuse me. So I think it is important for Nigerians to know that this government, although it presents itself as a savior in terms of coming with these VAT provisions, for instance, they say that a company that is not up to, that does not have a turnover of up to 50 million should be exempt from company tax. Good, laudable, because previously it used to be 25 million in the company income tax. Now it is 50 million. That is laudable. They have also exempted some items from tax, especially food, rent, educational, and all that. All those ones were formerly taxed. They were formerly taxed, but now they have exempted them. My challenge is, will this be implemented? Because even when you have exempted these products, people, the tax people will still find a way to ensure that they impose tax on these service providers. Because as it is, they say that service providers are no longer part of the small businesses. They have been excluded from being small businesses. For instance, no matter how small a legal firm is, it's no longer a small business that should have been exempted from this tax deduction. They say that if you are not able to have a turnover of over 50 million, you should be exempted. But no matter how small you are as a service provider, you are taxed, which is very bad. That is one thing that they have brought into this taxation law that is very, very inhuman. So, but there are some other provisions that, if they are actually executed, will make life meaningful. It will make life better for Nigerians. Then you can imagine what the system does. This system does not allow anything that is good to work. That is what I have discovered in the Nigerian system. It becomes difficult to bring in any laudable program, and then the program will work without serious input of those that are to enforce it. For instance, if the president wants these tax laws to work, by reason of especially the exemption clauses, those that are exempted from taxation, if the president wants them to work, it will work. And then Nigerians will enjoy the benefit of these tax reforms.
All right. Thank you very much. We are almost out of time. So we'll just give you some few seconds.
Yes,
give
one
us
of
the
the
answer.
areas that have been fears that have been expressed about some of these taxes has to do with the joint collection, the process of collecting the tax.
Yes.
It's almost as if, or even the tax that are supposed to be collected by the state is now being centrally collected. And I think that's one of the reasons why, and that had not been addressed in the new tax reform, the laws that they have just made. Situation where the joint tax board collects all revenues to the federal coffers, and then it is shared and distributed. We have mentioned at some point that constitutes a unitary structure, and Nigeria is still a federal state
All right.
under the constitution.
Right.
So they should look and still amend those provisions.
All right. Thank you. Vice Michael, now this is where we will draw the court. Do you have any last word to say?
My last word is that these tax laws that have been promulgated should actually be enforced, be implemented, so that the benefits that are enshrined into the laws can come to Nigerians. We should not just look at it and see them in paper without having the benefits of them.
All right. Thank you very much for gracing the show this evening. This is where we'll draw the curtain on today's episode of Democracy and the Rule of Law. Please do well to follow us on all social media channels. And also remember that, of course, we hold this program every Sunday at the same time. Stay tuned. We'll meet again next week. I'm Kenneth Mimo.